So this bill will also be the single most important piece of border legislation ever to cross the floor of Congress. We will hire 3,000 new Border Patrol officers and 10,000 new ICE agents. And what we're doing is we're really going after the criminal aliens.
So that's President Trump welcoming the families of Americans allegedly killed by illegal aliens to the White House. These angel families are urging Congress to prevent more tragedies by passing the big, beautiful bill. Border Czar Tom Homan was pretty fired up, saying it's necessary to solidify the success that they are already seeing.
Well, look, I think this issue of the big, beautiful bill should be nonpartisan. I don't know what the hell's the matter with everybody up in Congress? Every day we arrest a public safety threat or national security threat. This makes this country much safer. Who the hell would be against that? We got a lot of people to look for, a lot of people to arrest, a lot of national security threats we know are in this country. We need to find them. We need more money to do that. We need more agents to do that. For God's sake, let's pass this bill and get this done.
He got so angry he didn't even shake my hand or look at me.
And we are joined now by U.S. Border Patrol Chief Mike Banks. Chief, great to see you. Thank you for coming on this morning. Look, President Trump promised a secure border if he were to be elected, and you guys have it pretty locked down right now. I just want to talk about some of the gotaways numbers and the huge, huge drop we've seen. June of 2025 this year right now, you guys are averaging about 38 gotaways per day. You can't even fill up a school bus with that. You compare that to the highs of the Biden administration in 2023, when there were 1,800 people slipping across as gotaways every single day. Chief, you have a 98% drop in those gotaways just 5 months in. I know you want to get that number down to zero, but your thoughts on where you are right now?
You know, it's like you said, Bill, 1,800 plus gotaways a day under the previous administration. We won't see 1,800 plus gotaways the entire month. You know, we may break 1,000. And you're absolutely right. Look, we've had phenomenal success, but we are not waving a victory flag. We have a lot of work to do. We will not be satisfied until everything that comes across that border is apprehended and we have zero gotaways. But you've got to admit, in 5 months, the amount of work that we've been able to do, and we've been able to do it because we have a president and Trump and a secretary in Nome that allow us to actually just go out and do our job, which is enforce the law. And you know, imagine that when there's consequences for illegal actions, you have less illegal activity. And so we're going to continue delivering consequences. We're going to continue pushing hard on that border. We're going to get that border secure. But you know, as you led up into this piece, you know, we've got to get the funding from Congress. We have not received any additional funding, and it is so important to what we're doing to try to get more agents on the ground, get more boots on the ground, and get more infrastructure and equipment and technology in place to be able to achieve that 100% success on the border.
And that big, beautiful bill promises to hire about 3,000 new Border Patrol agents. And Border Patrol put out a video ad essentially saying why we need that big, beautiful bill. Here's part of that. So by saying nothing in the ad, it's saying a lot. It's implying that the border is just quiet and there's nothing going on, and that if you guys get that bill signed, you're going to have even more agents out there to keep it that way. Chief, your reaction?
Well, I promise you this. What we've been able to do now is we've been able to break loose more agents to go assist ICE in interior enforcement, and we're lockstep with ICE. You've seen it in L.A. You've seen it in other cities across this country. And so, you know, we're not worried about not having enough agents to do the work. But you've got to remember, if you don't have the agents there, if you don't have the infrastructure there, the traffic's going to come across illegally. You have to have those agents there to ensure that your probability of apprehension is great, and then you're going to be prosecuted and removed from the country. And so without that ability to have those forces there, we would start losing our gotaway numbers. But I'll tell you this, we're going to assist ICE, we're going to continue controlling the border, and we're going to do everything we can to deliver on a safe and secure border and deliver on a safe and secure country.
During the 4 years of the Biden administration, I mean, I would talk to you when we were in Eagle Pass, and I'd run into you when you were the Texas border czar. We would see thousands of people crossing every day, just giving themselves up to Border Patrol, knowing they were going to be released. Catch and release is over now. So are you guys still getting anybody showing up who thinks they're going to be released, or are these all just evaders trying to sneak through now?
So I can tell you this, I take great pride in these numbers. 14 people have been released since January the 20th of this year. Of those 14, 9 of those were material witnesses that went on, testified in court, and were then deported. And so in the month of May, 0 people have been released from Border Patrol custody. And in the month of June, we're still batting 0. And so the message is very clear, and we're going to keep screaming that message from the rooftops. Do not come into this country illegally. If you want to come here, go the proper way and go through the legal system. If you come into this country illegally, you're going to be apprehended, you will be removed, and you'll be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And that message is being delivered because you're not seeing the masses come anymore with this expectation that they're just going to be caught and released. And so that is part of what we're doing to help drive those numbers down, ensuring we're delivering a consequence for violating the law.
Chief, got about 30 seconds left here. During the Biden administration, we heard them repeatedly claim that the border was secure and that the border was closed. Obviously, that was not true. You guys have things pretty locked down right now. Do you consider the border secure right now, or is that something you're still aspiring to get to?
I consider the border the most secure it's been in my history of working with the Border Patrol and being in uniform for over 30 years. But I will not be satisfied until we have 100% operational control of the border, which means no one crosses this border illegally without apprehension and consequence. And we're getting close, but we're not there yet, and we're all gas, no brakes downhill. We're going to keep pushing.
Yep. Love to hear it. Chief Banks, great to see you. Thank you for the work you're doing.
Hey, thank you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.